Morning, people. Welcome to another edition of Your Watch. G Webs is thankfully hosting for us and helping out quite a bit. Good day to everybody.
Yeah,
And
good
what the
morning.
hell is that music?
That was the intro to the show SWAT from back in the day. They would all grab their ARs and run out to that.
I knew it was one of those cop dramas. That's remarkably similar to the theme of Shaft.
It is kind of like Shaft. That's one of my standbys for the Daily Gun Show. I really liked that show back in the day. I would sit around forever. And then to this day, every time I see a UPS van, I'm like, SWAT's coming. And I have to go, oh, it's just a UPS.
You're looking over your shoulder constantly for SWAT. I think there's a story in there.
Well, hold on. They run out of their vans with AR-15s whenever they come to a scene. So yeah, I definitely want to see them roll up and then a bunch of dudes jump out with AR-15s. So we're talking LA, I think it was the 70s. Might have been the 80s, but I think it was the 70s. This is like the Brady Bunch days. And they'd have, I think it was the SWAT, whatever you call it, department or squad or whatever they were. And like their troubles, and they were kind of trying to be SWAT for the first time.
Died.
Oh, you know what? It was like that show Emergency. Remember that show?
Yes. Emergency, I remember.
It was real similar to that one. I think same time frame and everything. And I think at the time it was like AR-15s. Why would police need AR-15s?
I still ask that question.
Well, but that was the episodes were like based off of the stuff that was going on. So, what was her name? The girl who got kidnapped and then she became
Patty Hearst.
Eddie Hearst. So they used M2 carbines for that, and that's when the LA police got the AR-180. So there was like at least one episode where there's people running all around with M2 carbines and other little 9mm World War II machine guns, and kind of keeping the police at bay. So that's why they needed to bring in SWAT. Or I can remember one other one where something was going on and SWAT needed to come in with a rope. Like none of the other police knew how to work a rope, so the SWAT came in and like threw a rope and like kind of hand over hand lined in like the second floor or something to someplace. Stuff that regular police just can't do. There's no way a regular police officer can throw a rope and then climb over to a place.
Well, no, they've had too damn many donuts.
Don't have that kind of tactical training where you throw ropes and then swing on them, or they don't really swing on it, they just climbed across it. But anyway, back in the day, that blew my mind. That was the coolest stuff ever, because otherwise cops were like Barney, or what do you call him? What was the name of that show? With Dad and the kid, and he was a sheriff. Mayberry.
Andy Griffith Show.
Andy Griffith, yeah, exactly. So it was, that, or like, similar type of little old kindly sheriff type of shows, or the mean old sheriff, but he was always an old sheriff with a revolver on. So this was a pretty cool show. Anyway, we talked a lot about that little intro. They have made 2 movies of it, though, I think. Maybe more. At least one big movie, and then, like, I think maybe even 2 sequels that are not.
Vividly remember watching TV with my uncle and watching the A-Team and him just being livid with the bulletproof corrugated tin.
Oh, yeah, when they put corrugated metal on something, it was bulletproof.
Yeah, and I'm at the time as a kid still, I'm thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Why the hell is this pissing you off? And now today, I think that he does. This is fucking stupid, ridiculous. It shoot right through that shit.
Especially because there's always rifles getting shot at.
Son of a bitch. But it's just funny how the wheel spins round.
Honestly, though, I think he's got a good point, because it doesn't do anybody any good to put unrealistic stuff up there. I mean, if there's a reason, like they're trying to be funny and like, haha, look, a stop sign is stopping a bullet. Like that's funny. Everybody understands it's supposed to be funny. But when they just like strap a stop sign to the front of something and it is stopping bullets, it's distracting because it's so dumb.
Well, even today, I have an issue with like the gauntlet where they welded that quarter-inch plate steel in there.
Yeah,
Well,
because it really moved.
I fucking shot half-inch plate steel and poked fucking holes right through it. So that's horse shit. Although you can kind of let it slide because glancing blows and shit like that, but still, steel ain't near as tough as the movies make it out to be. Hell, I just about shot through freaking plate, that half-inch thick plate steel with 30-30, which is the first gun I shot it with, and 22 250 and 30-06 both poked a hole right through it.
Well, that's why the stuff will go around saying it's AR 100. That's where it's hardened to be able to handle beats like that.
Right. And like I said, I kind of have a problem with the gauntlet because of that, but you can suspend disbelief on that due to angles that bullets approach and shit like that. I don't know, some of that other ridiculous shit, like I can't watch the A-Team anymore. I mean, it's just so fucking absurd. It annoys me, and I can't suspend my disbelief to watch it.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. And just because they're driving around in a van and have cool guns, well, have guns, then that doesn't mean we gotta like it. And when they're just when they're just being dumb, I don't know. I agree with you. I just did a search on Wikipedia because I thought that LA started SWAT teams, but it says that according to the historical dictionary of law enforcement, the term SWAT uh, was established as a 100-man specialized unit in. Oh, I'll put this up for a quiz. What year? 19. Uh, let's see, 1964, 1974, or 1984.
84.
When was SWAT invented for the first time? No, it couldn't have been 84. 64. And
I
then
don't know that they could have been invented in 84, but the name seems to me that that's an early 80s contrivance.
oh yeah, that's when we started seeing it on the scene. But no, it started in '64 in Philadelphia with 100 men in one unit. It was in response to an alarming increase in bank robberies. The purpose of the unit was to react quickly and decisively to bank robberies while they were in progress by utilizing large numbers of specially trained officers who had great amount of firepower. The tactic worked, and LA said that he first envisioned it in '67, and then oh, they're talking about something else. But anyway, LAPD, um, I guess, started doing things after the riots in '65. So then in '67, they had SWAT as well.
Well, that's the thing with the deal in Watts is the cops were afraid to go in there because they were.
Well, Watts is different. They're talking the '92 riots in
No,
Safe.
not.
Well, in Watts, I thought that was just where the was it the Panthers walked into the state capitol?
There was Watts riots in the 60s.
Right, but I'm wondering, wasn't that from people were getting wailed on again in LA, and then the Black Panthers walked into the. I thought they walked into the state capitol with M1s.
I can't answer that because the information I got on the Watts thing was just kind of a side note to something else I was looking at. But it was noted that during that time the cops were afraid to go in there. I think they did that. They
Well,
had
that
that same issue with the riots that came after Rodney King.
yeah, and that's I guess the one that's on my mind. But yeah, that pretty much happens with all of them. And that's the thing. What are you going to do when you're a cop with a revolver, maybe something, a shotgun or nothing, a shield, a stick, and there's a mob in front of you? Um, that was just a lot to expect, I guess, from line, just regular officers. So they started SWAT teams so that they can uh, basically learn all the tactics. It's all about special weapons and tactics. It's all about the tactics of dealing with a mob versus an individual or a group of people.
Oh yeah, I had riot control training when I worked for the government. Uh, they offered it as a an elective, for our training. The government, we could also take riot control, which is basically what you think of. You train with the shield, train with the non-lethal methods, and then shotgun. And the only reason I did is because I wanted the authority or the permission or whatever the hell to use shotgun at work if it came to it, but it never did. Uh, the way you look at criminals and the way you look at a mob is very different. Uh, these people, while they may be breaking the law, these people are just citizens who are angry, for the most part. And that doesn't include looting and all that bullshit. But I mean, by and large, the people that are involved in riots are not bad criminal people. They're just people who are pissed off. And you don't want to really mow them down. Don't look good on front page next day. And that right there is what the federal government's big concern is their image.
Well, government's nothing more than a set of laws we all agree with. So yeah, if people are in charge or killing everybody, then people tend to stop agreeing with all of them.
Well, on single incident crime, be it anything as simple as trespassing to vandalizing government property or anything like that, uh, the government came down hard. And it was to make the statement, you buck up here and you're done. So you know, you're told two different extremes basically with the government because they don't want you hurting rioters, which is why you see so many cops standing with shields trying to push the people out of the way. Uh, they're trying to non-lethally control the situation.
I got to assume some of it is to show a barrier, and you got to, having a bunch of, you got to make it look effective when there's a bunch of people emboldened by a mob.
Right. And if you can disperse them even via pushing, and you start separating these groups up, they'll, in theory, start to disseminate. So that kind of their theory behind that, at least back in '87 when I first trained on it, uh, they weren't so concerned with arresting people; they were just wanting to break them up.
Yeah, you arrest the instigators, right? The leaders, and then you break everybody else up.
Yes, that's the game plan. Anybody who actually does damage or hurt somebody, if you can get to them, you arrest them. If you see it, But like I said, I've never really been in this situation. I just took the training, so I don't know what it's like. I can imagine that it's frightening. And there again, I didn't do it because I figured it'd be in a riot situation. I just did it so I could have that shotgun certification. And I don't even know why I wanted that, to be honest with you.
Well, in the Army, at least it's rare. So it's one of the neat things just to get a not often achieved cert.
As far as I know, I was the only one in the district that had it, but I don't know for sure. Not something that we have been asking about, I suppose.
Well, what some of my experience working for the government is firefighting, and with that, like you got all these different levels of stuff, right? You start out just being a fireman, I guess, just doing work, and then they'll have things that guys that do different things, and you have to get trained, and then have some time on the clock in those different areas, and then you get more pay, and you get like move up in the leadership or the organization of it. Goes at something like that. Once you got enough certs, you get paid a little bit more. You get called to different things, like, oh, that's the guy that's the shotgun guy. Bring him down here.
That was the thing right there. You could get called to other posts. Uh, but hell, I did that anyway. Just by the fact that we had to cover X number of posts, and if we didn't have somebody in the immediate area, somebody else had to go, and I was willing. So I was based in East St. Louis, and I worked in Peoria, Springfield, uh, Carbondale, and Indianapolis. I only did that for money because they paid me from the time I got my vehicle till I got out of it back home, which was the incentive for somebody going. People don't realize how much fucking money you can make if they're paying you 24 hours every day for 3 days at a time.
Yeah, same with fires. I got paid one time just to drive people over to do something else, and yeah, got paid basically the entire time. I left and drove for 2 days and came back.
That's why I did it. Like $8.09 an hour job, and I was making $37,000 a year at it. Do the math on that one, it's a lot of fucking hours.
Well, all that came from the intro music.
Uh, some days you kill time better than others.
All right, well, now we got crazy talk out there on the YouTube side. What happens on the YouTube side is the crazies. So Jusmo's saying doesn't think the police should, but he thinks the police should demilitarize and let the National Guard deal with it. Then he's crazy and he says police don't need big vans. But we want military running around every time there's an issue. Federal, authorized, whatever, federal, foreign agents every time there's an issue. I don't think so.
I mean, you're still going to have guys running around with that weaponry. What the hell does it matter who it is? I don't want that. My thing with a lot of that is why do these small towns need that much shit? You know, hell, we've got 3 cop cars here. Uh, I have no idea what kind of special equipment we've got. I never ask.
Did you listen to Trump's speech at NRA?
I don't care.
He said something to the effect of, and why are all these military vehicles just sitting there doing nothing, or we're throwing them away? Obama didn't want them in the police because they look too scary. No, send all that stuff out there. All that stuff's going to the police. They'll do good work with it, or something like that.
I don't know, man. I don't know what I actually think about that. I don't know why the police is becoming a military force. I mean, I have
Well,
suspicions why, but
there's two reasons. One is because we're in Afghanistan and the stuff we either don't take over there or bring back, got nothing else to do with, so we give it to the cops. And then two is the war on drugs. They got a justification to need all this stuff because they create a black market for something people are obviously wanting to do. And then, they make a lot of money going out and securing their income that way because they keep all the money they grab, right? So they create a black market, and then when people are out there filling a demand, they hunt them down and take all their stuff and fund all their equipment that the government doesn't give them. Nobody's too
like
worried about that.
here in my little small town, we have a National Guard armory here. Have had for as long as I remember, and they closed it out this past year. Well, it's been a year, I believe March. Last March it had been about a year. Anyway, they offered to give that building to the city. Here, you can have it. Take it. The city said no. Now, I'm glad the city said no. I don't know what the hell purpose we'd have maintaining and owning that big bastard, but they just fucking government offered to just fucking give it to them. Why the hell are we trillions in debt? People are fucking stupid with money.
So then they're saying on the YouTube side, don't want local police becoming military. So who would you rather have with the big guns? People you know in the community, or I guess people who are from some community but may or may not, might be from Florida, stationed in Pennsylvania or something. You want somebody.
Every damn American is who I want to have the guns.
That's a good point. But we're talking the big military stuff, like the MRAPs and stuff.
Okay.
But I guess I'm saying, do you want it to be someone local who has the gun or has the stuff and is, being ordered around by somebody who's local, or I don't think any one is better than the other. Just a difference in who's in the driver's seat.
I think with the local aspect, you sometimes get ego that you don't necessarily get with somebody who's not a member
Oh,
of the
you mean
community.
because they might personally know the people involved?
Well, no, I mean just they might think that because they're in this position, they would ride roughshod over the citizens.
Well, all right. You give somebody
Tyrannical.
authority and power that's without consequence, then yeah, you might have that situation. But I don't know if there's any difference from a federal troop from Florida who gets stationed in Pennsylvania and is given authority over a bunch of people
Well, they
versus
theoretically went.
I'm saying versus somebody from Pennsylvania who's given that same authority. I see the
They,
difference. Person from Florida is able to say, "These aren't my people. I'm not from here. I'm doing my job." Right? He's told what the situation is. When it's somebody from Pennsylvania, a lot tougher to tell them what the situation is when they know the situation. Then you get the potential for someone to say, no, that's not a lawful order. So no, I'm not going to comply with that unlawful order. You pull somebody out and you put them in an unfamiliar place and you tell them you're the authority and here's an order. How do they know if it's every single order is lawful or unlawful? So I understand what people are saying, but I guess my position is that I think there's more potential for consequence for abuse or for disuse of authority than when somebody's local, because they can't just go back to Florida. In that situation, they're still in Pennsylvania, so they abuse, they do whatever. There's consequences when they're done. Their parents live there, their brothers and sisters live there, the people who went to school live there, their employers work there. That guy goes back to Florida. What happened in Pennsylvania? Oh, I don't know. I followed the rules. There's chaos in Pennsylvania, and that guy's back in Florida.
Well, my perspective comes from not ever having been under military control and having seen police officers here in this city that would abuse their position. Uh, and they get rooted out eventually, yes. But sometimes uh, there's a lot of damage that can be done by these assholes who basically should be taken out and fucking shot. I mean, we've had cops pick up young girls on the street and take them out in the country and do whatever in the fucking squad car. And this went on for a better part of a year that I know of, and they didn't get any hot water until they crashed the fuck cop car drunk. Now, granted, this has only happened as severely as that with one cop that I'm aware of. But it sure don't engender trust in the fucking office here. And at the same time, the chief of police that was, or the man who was chief of police at the time, was a great guy. He was the most level-headed, fair son bitch I ever seen as a cop. He would, let kids be kids as long as they weren't hurting anybody or doing damage, shit like that. And, instead of like running a kid home, he'd take them home, tell their parents. You've got him on the one side and then these dirty fucking bastards on the other side that make him look bad because, he ain't with them 24 hours a day. He don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know that these girls in question ever reported it. Hell, maybe they were willing participants. That I don't know.
No, that's ridiculous. Can you imagine having a law enforcement do something like that to you? You'd never feel safe again. The people that are supposed to be helping you, that's bad.
Oh yes, I firmly agree with you there. It's bad. But these fuckers seem to skate away from it too. I don't know whatever became of the guy after he crashed the cop car. He moved away. Hopefully he moved into prison, but I don't think so.
Well, I don't think that's a pervasive element of law enforcement, or there's like somebody like that in every department or anything. I'm not gonna say it's the only instance of it for sure, but it's the exception to the rule. Most law enforcement are good to go, and the complete opposite of something like that.
I would agree. Yeah, it's probably not, but in a town of 1,800 people, that kind of shakes the faith in this small police force.
Oh, I hear you, but do you seriously? People are like, I don't believe in law and order anymore. I mean, still, that it's the individuals. You know that it's corruption there. If you go to the town over, it's not happening there. It's not happening uniformly, or it's not a corruption of the state where it's fascism or something.
Well, obviously, it didn't hurt the department very much because the people pleaded with the chief of police not to retire. And I was one of those because I loved the guy. He was a great freaking individual. He really was.
Well, it's unfortunate, and like you say, I'm sure he wouldn't have been complicit at all. But on the other hand, there's got to be something about if there's a couple of people for sure, but if there's even a single person, you got to figure there's something about that. And if it isn't, or if it wasn't caught, then there's something potentially wrong with the guy in charge. So, I mean, it proves that he's legit if he's willing to take the sword when he just kind of has to, almost like procedurally or traditionally or whatever. But
I can't honestly say. I can't honestly say how long it was between the officer being on duty and committing these things and finally getting into the accident, and then the chief retiring. Because in memory, I'm thinking it was hell 10 years later that he wanted to retire. But I can't swear to that. I don't remember for sure.
When I was saying MRAP is better than a Unimog, what do you vote for?
Uh, Fucking Unimog is pretty goddamn handy son of a bitch. You get all the attachments. I don't know
Yeah,
what the MRAP actually is.
the better size too. Dude, an NRAP is freaking massive. So I happened to take a picture of an MRAP when I was on the trip. Where am I gonna find it?
Yeah, hurry up and see what this is. We got a 3-point and a power takeoff.
I'll go through some pictures here. It'll eventually show up. Of course, not when I want it to. I'll find it.
Well, while we're scrolling through pictures, I'm going to bring up something.
See this guy?
Yeah.
You've seen the van. That's an MRAP next to it.
Yeah, that's too fucking big to be on the road.
It's like a fucking semi-truck that's up armored.
Somebody, and forgive me because I don't remember who, sent me an email asking if I had heard or spoke on the show about Oklahoma's governor vetoing the basically constitutional carry bill in Oklahoma. And I said, no, I hadn't, but I will bring it up. I don't quite understand what they were going for, because you can carry in Oklahoma, open or concealed. I think maybe you have to have a concealed permit to carry concealed, but you can carry a gun in Oklahoma.
No, we're talking constitutional carry, where you basically go in and remove the laws that even talk about a permit. So now anybody who's legal to own a firearm can carry any way they want.
I get that, and I just think it should pass. But I mean, man, we're a long fucking way removed from that here.
Well, but what happened is it went through the whole what am I trying to say? The whole congressional side of the state, and then it went over to the governor. And everybody assumes, since he's a pro-gun Republican, I think that was like a done deal. She was going to sign it, but I guess if she didn't, it has to go back, and now they probably have to 2/3 it. Give an even bigger vote to override her shit. But actually, if Mike Strike was here, he would tell us infringements are pretty darn good. Okay.
I think it was money. They had to come up with all this extra money from the teachers. They can't be giving up a good source of income from whatever the hell they have to have permits for.
I'm going to put a public service message out here before I close this picture out. Don't ever take a nap next to an MRAP. Bad place to take a nap. But I think that thing is way too big. I've never been in one. I've only seen them from the outsides. They didn't exist when I was in, so I've never seen one inside. But I think they're too big. I don't know what they're. It looks like they're more like a troop transport or something. So I would go with the Unimog. They're bigger than my van, but way cooler. Probably more maneuverable. I guess maybe I misquoted Night Strike a little bit.
I'm just saying that the damn Unimog is kind of handy to have around the house. You plow the fucking garden with it. You go out and do any fucking thing you can do with the farm tractor, pretty much.
Put a plow on it, drag stuff with it. You're saying it's got that gear or something, right? So you can take the transmission and hook it right up to like a motor or pump or like some kind of augers and stuff.
Yeah, it's got a power takeoff. We don't have RPGs scattered all over here.
And this guy loopholed his way in here.
Under misquoted, I think majorly misquoted is the appropriate word here.
I couldn't read. I was busy. I'm trying to drink coffee. And
Right. I thought you said you stopped drinking coffee.
but I never said such a thing.
Yes, you did. You said I don't want any more glutens. I don't want any more sugar. Bacon's okay, but I don't want any more caffeine because caffeine is not good for you.
Yeah, that's right. All those things are bad for you. So MRAP has a PTO and robotic arms. I think I have seen the MRAPs with robot arms for picking up mines or something, probably.
Well, maybe you can use that as garbage truck.
They were built to withstand, IEDs. So, yeah.
So you're going with MRAP over
IEDs?
No, I didn't say that. If you read the chat, I said I want both. Why do I need to be limited to just one vehicle? I mean, shit. It's America. You can have more than one vehicle.
I'm just saying that the Unimog's handier.
Well, you got both of these do two different applications. The Unimog allows you to, take more stuff. Period, because it's more of a van type, or not even van, more like a commercial truck. Whereas the MRAP is specifically a it's more like a Jeep.
At some point when I was bored and perusing YouTube for stuff, I watched a video about that son of a bitch. And it's as handy, if not slightly better, than a Jeep.
What are we talking about? MRAP or the Unimog?
Unimog.
Yeah, okay.
Mercedes designed that bastard to be fucking everything you need on the farm, basically.
Yeah, a Unimog is like a giant apartment that's armored and on 6 wheels. So that's huge. How big they are inside. That's an MRAP. How big that is, though. Unimog could fit in here almost.
You don't say.
In all fairness, I don't know diddly shit about the MRAP.
The MRAP came about because in Iraq they were getting the Humvees were running over a lot of IEDs, improvised explosive devices, and it kept on destroying the Humvees. So that's why they built the MRAPs, because those were built to withstand explosions.
They're basically tanked up off the ground on wheels.
Pretty much.
I still scratch my head at why they went to the Humvee over a Jeep. I mean, it's an immensely huger vehicle that won't hold as many people, theoretically. Granted, they mount all kinds of shit on it to make it lethal, but still.
Yeah, the fucking Suburbans, man. For the Humvees, we had little Chevy Suburbans that were freaking awesome. Not Suburbans, what were they? Like they were half a Suburban. What do they call that thing?
Well, the ones that I seen were all Dodge Ram Chargers.
I'm pretty sure they were Chevys. So let's find out.
Blazers?
Suburban or not, like a short Suburban?
The MRAPs also had these weird cage-looking things that they would mount on the outside to prevent rockets from destroying the vehicles.
All right, yeah. Hold up this fucking screen, please, to prevent rockets.
Yeah. Because it's old Soviet rockets.
Sounds
Like these.
mighty A-teamish to me. Corrugated tin.
But apparently it did work. So that's why they used it. It looks ridiculous, though.
Well, the ultimate brush guard anyway.
So
You're going to have a hard time scratching that thing. But you're right, it does look kind of stupid.
but it works, so they used it. And you know, if something works, why the hell not, right?
So this is what we had before Humvees. Like after Jeeps, we drove around these things all the time. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. And you just pushed a button. You didn't have to, there was no keys or nothing. You just got in it,
Yeah,
push a button. That's what we had. They look basically like that first one. They look exactly like.
So you had Suburbans.
No, they're shorter than a Suburban. And they had this cool thing on the front of the guard, so you could like hit stuff.
Okay, Broncos.
No, they're big. They're full size though. They're like a full size Bronco.
Broncos are full size.
It is a Blazer. It's called a Blazer, or at least that's what it showed up as.
Yeah,
but they must have also had trucks. We didn't have no trucks, but that would have been cool.
I know they had trucks because they had. I just seen somebody who got one of those trucks and has been doing a bunch of fucking remodeling work on it over the past couple of years. Before they went to these Blazers, they had Dodge Ram Chargers, but I think Dodge quit making the damn thing.
Yeah, I don't know if these things were bad or what, but then they came out with the Humvee.
I've seen lots of those things for sale though, just over the years.
Yeah, they're diesel. They can run on like any kind of fuel, and you push a button. To me, they seem like the best vehicle ever. I don't know. I should have probably grabbed one when they were still cheap. Yeah, now I'm kicking myself. Why didn't I get one of these things? Never been a fan of the Unimog necessarily, but I do like it. It looks kind of weird, but I would definitely take it over that MRAP just because that MRAP's too big. I can't even imagine gas in that MRAP without Uncle Sam paying for the gas and bringing it to you. Screw that. Probably got a 200-gallon tank.
That had I not seen a video on that Unimog, I would have not ever considered such a thing because I think it's kind of silly looking, but goddamn, it's versatile. And what I saw in video, I would imagine it'll go places that Humvee won't. I'm just saying that from what I've seen. I have no empirical evidence either way.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
AG.
Huh.
If you got $2,400, there's one for sale in Kentucky.
24? That's not bad. Imagine my mother wore the fuck out though.
This one doesn't look that bad. I mean, it looks bad as, the van did when you first got it.
No, it doesn't. What are you talking about? There's no thing's got.
The first van.
Oh, okay, maybe that one. Damn it! How do I find out how much gallons the MRAP or gas tank has?
It should be there.
Can't find it anywhere. Oh wait, 47 gallon. Huh? Only have 47.
Yeah, it's got a beefy gas tank or diesel tank, I guess.
So that means it'll make what? 100 miles maybe on a tank?
Yeah, I was gonna say like 100 miles maybe.
At times like these when the gas is going up, this tank in the Suburban, which is 44 gallons, hurts, but I can still drive some at 600 plus miles on a tank of gas. Probably get 700 if I wasn't always in kind of a hurry.
I feel like Night Strikes here. There shouldn't be any dead air.
Yeah, right.
We
blame
have had
everything
more
on
dead
me.
air since you got here than we've had since we've been doing this show together, me and G-Webs.
So what are people saying out there in the chat? The fake Buffalo is better than the Unimog.
Gelsman is saying like 10 miles per gallon. Sometimes the MRAP will get 13.
Probably. But Josman is also saying that Deuce uses any flammable liquid as fuel. They get good mileage. Never heard of the Deuce.
Deuce and
Or
half.
is that Deuce and a half?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always kind of in the back of my mind wanted one of those.
I definitely want one of those. I drove those more than anything, and they're a freaking tank. They're awesome. They're really, really cool.
I got a not close neighbor. He lives about 15 miles away, but he's got a bunch of that military shit sitting around his place. He's got one of the Blazers or two. He's got a Deuce and a half. He had some military boat that might have been about the size of a PT, but I don't know what it was. It might have been a PT boat.
PT boats are pretty big.
Yeah, this was, God, what, 35 feet long, maybe? It looked to be 8.5, 9 feet wide, maybe 10. And then the boat itself was like 7 feet tall. And this is just me driving by seeing it. I don't know how close I am. It looked like what I've seen PT boats look like size-wise on various programs. But I don't know that's what it was. I don't know if it's made out of wood or what.
I think the PT boats were wood, right?
They were, yeah.
But they did sell them. I know people that I've heard stories of people that had them and stuff. I think, well, you guys have seen military vehicles. I think what's cool about them is reason that you see so many of those Deuce and a halves around is people drive them and they're like, wow, these things are rugged. They're like super hardcore. They're not that expensive, and then they're basically freaking bulletproof. So it's just cool to have a vehicle that don't break.
It is. It really is.
Like there's no little frills, but no frills to break.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with the Humvee over the Jeep. I mean, you know, they packed the interior of that son of a bitch to where they could only put 4 seats in it. I don't quite understand how that's a more practical runaround vehicle for the Army than the Jeep was.
I don't know if it was. Did you see that thing that somebody posted on the front page about how they came up with the Bradley?
I did not.
It's like it's a scene from a movie, and it seems like a made-for-TV movie. it's like the era of like the 80s, like around the A-Team time. So imagine a movie that would have been made around the time of the A-Team. It was like that quality of a production. But I think it was serious. I think it was a little bit humorous, but it wasn't like a comedy or anything. Maybe it was. But
I think I've seen that.
where they kind of say, well, we needed a troop delivery vehicle. And they kind of started out with this little squatty shoebox looking rectangle thing with a driver's seat and like one machine gun sticking out the top. And then like room for 10 or 12 guys, I guess. And they're like, okay, but we also need a way to do something else. So can you kill 2 of the guys and give us a turret and such? And then somebody else is like, oh, and then I need this and this. And then they're like, well, if you're doing that, then it's got to fill the role of this. And then before you know it, it holds like, what, 4 guys or 6 guys. It's got a giant cannon on it for no reason because it's not a tank and it can't do tank stuff. And then like all this side ports and stuff. And it turned into this like just crazy thing that's kind of pointless. All because just, kind of behind the scenes bureaucracy of like, oh, well, and if he gets it, I get to put this on it. And if I don't get this in my budget, then what am I going to use for this role? And then, it just turns into this jack of all trades, master of nothing.
Yeah, I believe I've seen that.
So it could be the Humvee as a result of something like that too. It definitely looks.
That is entirely possible.
And like you say, what part of like, hey, I need to get something done quickly and it has ultimate importance, and also just mundane shit needs to get done all the time. Like, let's make the vehicle where the people are like arms reach away from each other and there's this massive drivetrain and shit in between them. Doesn't make any sense. Like when you sit down to create a vehicle, you don't think like, how can we separate the people? Like people are too close in vehicles. There's too many people.
Elbow room.
These seats are too close together in this hangout. We need to make it a bit more spacious.
Yeah, there should be like 6 spaces and then a space between. Unless they like, again, maybe they thought, okay, there's going to be turrets in them. So if we leave this big space here, because of the turrets. I don't know. That's possible.
That was always the thing that got me with the Humvee. All from the first time I ever saw the interior of one. It's like, wow. There's no fucking room in there for people. 4 freaking bucket seats.
Yeah, if you think you need a turret so bad, then make like a 6 or 8 seat vehicle and have 2 seats removed and replaced with a turret. But, don't make it where there's no turret ever. Tony doesn't agree. Sure. I don't like the way he does his business. He doesn't like a statement. He'll just leave.
It happens.
It's really hard to have a conversation with him.
It is, and especially when you're in the heated discussion, and he just leaves because he's angry. There he is.
And I'm back.
Does Midnight saying Deuce Driver is a Gun Channels member? He owns a Deuce. I have.
Good. Glad someone has one.
I like I said before, I want one, but to be absolutely honest with everybody and myself, I have no reason and I don't have the place to keep it. So I would not ever actively go looking for one.
You have more work on this show than any other show. The people are just reading or typing everything. There's more reading here than there is on any of my other shows that I've done.
That's usually how it goes.
Yep, that's the audience interaction part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lazy audience. I feel like they should have to just join the chat and talk, and then I don't have to read all this stuff.
Well, the thing is that we don't let them join the audience while we're doing the first part of the shows.
Oh, okay.
Most people just don't even bother to try.
Yeah.
First hour or so, we actually try to direct where it's going, sort of.
Is that how it goes?
With that in mind, let's jump over to the main page, Gun Channels. I'll screen share here. and see what kind of news been going on. Got our post for this show right now. Looks like Travis did something on a new trigger he put in to his, is that what it is? He put a new trigger in, an upgrade. So I'm guessing a third-party trigger into his SIG.
No, it was a warranty thing.
Oh, okay. So just new factory. Okay, I see. So new trigger, but from the factory, just the upgrade from the factory.
New to him.
Then we got Dano. Do we have any content providers in the area of southeast Kansas? Company I saw on the border of Kansas and Missouri, about halfway between Kansas City and Oklahoma, Tulsa. Show displaying their line of CNC machines, tumble on impact, all copper ammo. They seem very knowledgeable. So if you product, drop me a line here and I'll send. Oh, okay. So I guess Dano's offering that he knows the people from that ammo company. I don't know if you saw his Instagram post, and he's just offering to pass that info along. Taters was live last night for a bit.
He's trying to get somebody to interview him.
The guy who makes that ammo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan was trying to get somebody to go interview them for one of the shows.
Gotcha.
Somebody who lives in the area.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't think of who's in that area that's got a camera other than Nut, but Goose isn't too far away. Neither is Ghost if he's driving over there sometime.
Gary's in Kansas.
Yeah, but Kansas is big. I was thinking Missouri anyway, but yeah, Kansas isn't that close to either one of those guys. I was thinking Arkansas, or I was thinking Missouri for some reason.
I think there's somebody that's just right over on the west side of Missouri that we have talked to here at some point. I'm trying to remember who, but I won't. That's all gone. So get that.
But that's cool that he's dropping that kind of info along, I guess, because it sounds like he knows that they're looking for somebody. I'm sure he'll talk.
Yeah, I thought that very thing when I read that this morning. I thought that was a really nice thing of Dano to do.
Maybe we could do some sort of a networking contact bulletin board or like something where when we meet somebody who's interested in having more coverage, we could post it, and then people who are creating content could use that as a list of leads. Maybe take a picture of a business card and just post it on a channel, call it the bulletin board, or letting people network and get in touch with each other. Interesting. We did a van chat last night. It was pretty good. Thanks to the people that jumped into that. Go check it out. Soon it'll be on iTunes, I hope. Blake Jelsma did a show. Huh?
I was just going to say, back to the bulletin board idea. I'm sorry I stepped away to open a pack of cigarettes. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to try to not forget that. In fact, I'm going to go set it up here because I like that idea. I've been trying to do something like that, along that vein at least, for a while. I think that might be a good way to... And they won't get lost either. They kind of get archived there. And then somebody can put their own business card up there. You know, hey, contact me. I'm interested. Got like 12 different people call them. All right, so Jelsman had his set of shows last night. I was out driving around. A friend of mine got a 3D printer, but I listened to some of the gun gals. It was pretty good last night. I don't know if you guys listened to that, but pretty interesting listening to the ladies' perspective on stuff. Like listening to 9mm people talk about their guns. Always good to get the feminine side of the gun culture.
Well, you know, much like the 9mm thing, they say women can shoot better.
Yeah, it's true. So their ovaries like balance them better. I assume it is. Then we got Led. He was asking about chats. Same as Toddy. Like 2 minutes after Smeggy says he's got a cave going. So reading, it helps. Did you guys see this thing from Dead Horse? is our show, so we'll just go ahead and copyright it. So you know Commando from back in the olden days?
Yeah.
So this guy, do you recognize this Russian guy? He's a kind of like a Russian actor right now. Everybody likes him. But I guess he's pretty rich, and he's the director of this movie. And this little intro type of thing, this guy is the actor. You haven't seen him?
No.
Oh, if you start watching Russian movies at all, I've seen him a lot. And he's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger of Russian movies. Anyway, so according to this little thing here, I don't know what the name of this channel is that's reviewing this concept of this Russian movie, but during Cold War, back in the olden days, Schwarzenegger goes over to Russia to film Red Heat. Remember that movie? He goes over there and everybody knew who he was already because there's a wicked underground of people with VCRs watching Hollywood movies. So everyone had already seen, like everyone in Russia who's not supposed to be paying attention to this stuff knew who Schwarzenegger was, like had seen every movie. Everybody in Russia's seen Commando back when it came out, right? They just go to people's houses and watch it in the basement on a VCR kind of thing. But they've all seen Commando and they're like they have the same feelings about Commando as we did, only, you know, they're from the commie side. So they think it's like a cult movie over there as well. So this guy, whoever this guy is, who is the director and the producer of the movie, I think, and then he stars in it, he literally did scene by scene. It is Commando, except it's a Russian guy instead of Commando. And instead of being a Cuban, it's a Japanese or something take over an island. And so he only changed it to be modern, but it's literally scene for scene Commando. And then like this, like he said, they say there's like a little difference in the scene like this. When the guy's driving, he's being all crazy in the new one, and in the old one, he was just kind of laughing. So there's a couple of little differences, but otherwise it's scene for scene Commando. So I can't wait. That sounds freaking awesome. Plus, this guy's a good actor. I really like his movies.
All right.
Copyright infringement there.
Well, no, it's not copyright as much as homage. It's just doing a remake. And again, because I never knew that over in Russia, they were over there watching the same movies as us, just having to do it in the basements under tyranny instead of in the movie theaters. So I think I thought that was pretty cool. So thanks for Dead Horse on that.
Yeah, it's cool. No arguing that. I never really considered what people in other countries watch, except maybe Britain.
So, this has been going around Instagram. So it looks like Scott posted this. You guys see this video?
I have not. I don't want to.
No, I haven't.
I don't know how do I make it fucking play? Huh. I don't know if there's sound to it. Anyway, so I don't know where this is. It doesn't look like the USA to me, but it might be. I don't know. Anyway, there's all these little kids, right? And these moms. And I guess one guy. But mostly it's little kids and moms. And then out of nowhere, this guy will come up and be like, I'm taking your little kid or something. Right? And all these moms take their little kid. And this mom's like, fuck that. Shoots the guy. And then kicks his shoe off. And then for some reason, she's like, oh, look at that gun. I'm going to grab that gun over there. And then she grabs the gun. And then she's not satisfied. So she walks over here. And she goes, I'm going to get even more in the way of things. And I'm going to step on them. That's been going all around Instagram. I haven't seen this full one yet. Because normally the Instagram one, I don't know how to get rid of this.
Wow.
That, square or whatever.
Huh.
Well, so that's no comments on that, but thanks for posting that. That's what the news feed is all about. Then we got Russ posted this one with a bunch of different kind of powder coats. They were talking powder coating on the girls' chat last night, and they were talking about how some of the guys have different color bullets, they were saying that they should make pink bullets. And I was thinking, the guys that powder coat these things, right? They could get that in pink, I'm sure. So it wouldn't be that expensive to make pink bullets for them.
I thought somebody was talking about a place that would let you pick your colors. God, what the hell is that?
Like a manufacturer that lets you choose what color you want, so you know which bullets are yours?
Yeah, I don't know the why of it, but yeah, there was a manufacturer who offered to do that, or they made them in so many different colors you get
You know, a lot of competitions, people are shooting real similar guns all the time. Magazines look even more similar, so that's a quick way to figure out, oh yeah, I'm shooting the purple bullets, or I'm shooting the blue ones, or that color blue or something.
All of mine are variation on brick or dark red, except for I believe the 357s are bright red. 9mm might be too.
Red's one of the least accurate of colors, so I would urge you to check it out. Check out blue; it's more accurate.
I don't know. My old lady does pretty well with them.
Again, girls can shoot better than dudes, so that doesn't count. She's cheating by having ovaries.
She don't have ovaries.
Well, but she remembers what it was like, so she's cheating by remembering. All right, so Connery had a chat about gaming. It got super boring. I was in there for a little while, but they were playing the most boring video games ever yesterday, having their fun. Matt didn't post his chat, so there you go. Matt does his video game chat secretly now, off a gun show. We did a Minuteman University.
Yeah, you would get bored.
I wish I'd have known about that.
The Minuteman University was just me drawing a cartoon. I was playing with a little pen thing I got where you have like a pen and a little piece of plastic and you draw on it, and then can make cartoons because it was costing me a fortune to have the cartoons made. Actually, I was just posting about it over here. I'll show you. I had this one cartoon made from Verdano, and cost $5, and it looks shitty. Like, I mean, it looks okay, I guess. That he gave me I asked everybody for pictures so I could do cartoons, and my plan was to just kind of do one a month or something for the people that do them professionally. But this doesn't look like anything you can animate. It looks weird. So
you could just post my picture. People would know the difference.
well, what I ended up with is getting that pen, right? And then you can draw like a regular pen or a pencil. So I took the picture from Wanamaker of everybody and then just made, we call it, little cartoony characters, because that's kind of more what I was looking for. This can be, applied to a comic book a little easier, I think. That's some of them. And then I don't have Tony. It was just the people who were standing there in that room that night is who I got.
I avoided the camera as much as possible.
See, I don't know why, because now you had a weird cartoon drawn of you, like Mr. Right here. He's real happy about the fact that I made a cartoon of him.
Like I said, you could use my regular picture and people probably wouldn't know the difference.
Probably.
So anyway, I did that, and then I'm getting practice with her or whatever. So yesterday I did a Minuteman University, and I just explained my technique, which is basically take the picture, draw the line around, and then color it in like a coloring book, and then you're done. And then sometimes it comes out okay, sometimes it doesn't. That's what we were talking about in this Minuteman University. So it wasn't anything super big, but I am planning on having some more of those throughout the week this week. I have a couple of things to work on over there. What was I listening to? I was listening to a book on, I guess mostly probably as like a business book. It's a book on having critical conversations or something like that. And it's not so much like how to de-escalate, like from a police or, debating type of thing where you're trying to manipulate the other person, but more from like a business and just efficiency and communication type of perspective, how to have more efficient conversations with people. And that's one of the things I'd like to develop on Minuteman University is people's ability to have conversations so that when we're having dialogue with somebody, we have the ability, the skill to be able to figure out who we're talking to and have the most efficient, effective conversation with them. So we're not wasting our time so that we can progress and hopefully move our message along and not just be a barrier, not be entrenched in a stupid back and forth. Instead, get smarter about it. So anyway, that listening to that book inspired me. So I'd like to work on a couple of little primers, little 5-minute, 10-minute little videos to talk about points. And then anybody's welcome. We'll, once I put something up to talk about a point, I'd really like to get people together so we can dig into it and get at it from a couple of different angles and figure out some ways to see if they're worth, implementing or adding to people's toolboxes. So we'll be trying to do that this week here, a couple of them at least. Then it was Mother's Day, so everybody had a good day, hopefully. Again, an announcement that Matt didn't bother to post on Gun Channels because he does his stuff secretly now. Moon had a chat Saturday. What was this? Did you guys see this post from Russ? I think this is just an attempt at weirdness, or is that an actual?
I think that might have been a bad round.
No. I think these are people playing with shaping rounds, right? These aren't real. Like this one, I think it's got to be a joke. There's no reason to do this. But this here, this isn't a reason to do this. This is just farting around, right? Called a 7.62 giraffe. So I think that's comedy one. Unless that's what you use to shoot the giraffes. Oh, this is cool. The Guns and Gals yesterday had her on, this instructor from Florida. She's a female instructor from Florida, so that's cool. I'm joining Gun Channels right now. Her ears are ringing because she's getting talked about live. Wait, were we on this page? Here we were. So, oh dang, no, we were on this page. That takes us through the weekend to Moons. Looks like there was another knife attack.
Yes.
I didn't hear about that. One person. The Pawn reposted that one on the 12th. Yeah, that was Saturday. Clearing the Chamber was on Saturday. I don't know if I heard that one. This one was kind of interesting about the Rambo movies. Anybody watch this one?
No.
No, I didn't get a chance to.
It's a little interesting. This other one is more interesting to me. But that's sort of what's going on in Gun Channels. Connery had some Saturday morning stuff going. And we had our Friday shows. There was quite a bit of Friday shows going on too. So you can always check out what's going on in Gun Channels on the main feed here. One of the things I'd like to do is I've always thought would be a useful thing to do would be to make a newsletter like every Friday or something, or Monday. It doesn't really matter what day. But basically go through the main page of Gun Channels and just take everything that's interesting, sort it, the news here, the state level events over here, 2A events or something over here. And then maybe welcome the new members that we got this week, let people know that who's new. Go down additionally and check out what's on the gun show, the 24-hour gun show where people can buy and sell. And then wrap that all up into a newsletter each week so that people who don't get to check out every single day what's going on can get a weekly summary. I don't know. I haven't had the time to do that. It's one of those things that I see as a resource just, sitting there. But I haven't had time to implement it, but I'd like some feedback. If people think that's worth doing, then, if I get enough positive feedback on it, I'll put it higher on the priority list.
That's like a good idea.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah,
it just seems like consistent work, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to do everything. Maybe we can figure out a way to incorporate that into a collaborative type of thing where people get together and. Well, I'm glad Night Strike's in here. We have to talk when this is over about how to physically. I need to figure out how you guys physically set up everything so we can let people know and make it as easy as possible. But we'll get some forms set up, and so if people want to feed interesting news to Tony, you can do so easier than ever by just going to some link and clicking, paste or dragging and dropping something over so Tony can get it. You don't even have to open up an email or the early watch stuff. We'll see how these guys are doing on that. We'll make sure that everybody who's interested can help keep everybody aware of what's happening 2A wise all around the country.
I'm all for easier, that's for damn sure. As far as Jimmy news, I got none of that. I briefly talked with him over email this weekend. But he's still working his ass off. basically, that's all I can say.
I haven't heard from him at all either.
I did email him Friday night or Saturday morning, and he got back with me Saturday. So I have remained in contact with him. I got no news one way or another about him.
Oh, okay. Clint is saying that lady is an off-duty cop in that video. So that would make a lot more sense and why she would go over and step on the guy.
Well,
I would expect a cop to pick up a gun and step on the guy. You know, that's not. At first, I was watching that and I'm like, "Come on, lady, what are you doing?" But that makes a lot more sense if she's used to taking over a situation.
It certainly looked like she knew her stuff more so than your average concealed carry holder would.
That's true. It's not like she was like, "Wow, I just shot a gun for the first time. Wow, it was at a person. Holy moly!" And then like automatically or instantly had her shit together and was like picking up the dangerous items and stuff.
Yeah. But she handled it, quite well. I'll say that because, he didn't get a chance to get up and run away, did he?
Oh, so gender hostile. Of course she can do her job, even though she's a female.
Don't mansplain to me.
Let me mansplain to you about how female cops are.
Take your mansplaining elsewhere. While I go eat these glutens. And sprinkled donuts. That's hilarious.
I have about 10 rude comments that I could make to all that, and I'm just going to pass all of them up.
So Rupan is talking about D-Day. So I'm going to put D-Day in my calendar. It's pretty neat. So I learned about D-Day on that film, that Commando video. I guess D-Day is a day in Russia where their paratroopers just go out and get rowdy. So they have a kind of a 4th of July for just paratroopers. That's kind of cool. So then we got Dr. No saying you need to have nuance, bro, on the show. He's really good at talking to the opposition. I agree. I don't know if he is doing that like because he went to school for it, or if he's just naturally, adept at asking people, or I doubt he's lucky. It just seems like, maybe he does a lot of video and he edits it out and he just shows you the best stuff. That's definitely possible. But yeah, I would like to pick his brain a little bit and find out if there's a strategy and a method to it, because if there is, then other people should be able to repeat it. Or if it's just something natural to him. Obviously, talking to somebody like that, you can kind of pick up on, or try to pick up on some of the traits that he's got. But you guys know who we're talking about, Nuance Bro? Guy that just goes to these rallies and events and asks questions to both sides of the position in a good way, makes people kind of realize that they're all idiots without like making fun of them like some of these comedians do. It's more useful. It's like, hey, explain your position to me. And then people stumble around not being able to explain their position. He doesn't mock them or ridicule them. He just kind of acknowledges in a way that they realize they don't even know their own position. And he, I think he does real good work. He's one of the people I support on Patreon.
I'll check him out.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple of his things, yes.
Oh, I'm sure you have. If you've watched our stuff, I reference him all the time. We did a whole big chunk of it on Daily Gun Show the other day, in fact. I'd be down for doing it here. They didn't copyright us for that, and I don't care. YouTube doesn't pay me anymore. I don't care if I get copyrighted. But if you're down, he has on his Patreon. Let's go take a look at his Patreon together. He's got a interview from the NRA show. So how would you find it? Oh, this is the wrong Patreon. So he is Nuance Bro. Oh, I went to some Minecraft thing.
You and your Vitch games. There it is.
So he's just some dude, and here he was at the NRA show. Actually, we'll look at it on the YouTube. On the video, oh man, it's gonna make me watch this whole thing. The old trick was you just refresh it, and then it'll kill the video or kill the commercial. It worked that time. It doesn't usually work. So if you ever have to sit through the whole commercial and they won't let you not, skip it or whatever, refresh the page. Back in the olden days, you could refresh 3 times and get past all YouTube ads. But anyway, so he's got this first guy. We'll call him NRA guy. He's weird. He's frustrating to listen to, and he's weird. You get this guy who's pro-gun. He's got a black powder on one side and an AR-15 on the other. And he does an interesting job talking to this pro-gun guy for a while. And then that pro-gun guy comes in and says, let me take over. He tags his way in. And he does okay, and then he fails. But he's pro-gun. And then there's a lady sitting on a stump, and she's anti-gun. And then he gets frustrated with her. He doesn't get frustrated very often. Then it is this guy, and I don't want to listen to this guy again. He's difficult to listen to.
We need stricter gun controls. The legislators have done absolutely zero about any of the violence going on.
Okay, so it's a long time with this guy. It's probably good for your own use, but not as a group. Let's not waste our time with this guy. Then you get anti-guy and his wife, I think, significant other, and then he's pro-gun for a minute, and then he's not pro-gun. And then she steps in and is pro-gun. So we got the couple. We're not going to go with that guy. So we got the couple. We got lady on a stump. We got that pro-gun guy. 2-gun pro-gun guy. And we got this weirdo. What do you guys feel like listening to? On the Daily Gun Show, we set it out to the audience to decide. I'll let you guys decide since you're listening.
The couple.
So this is, again, they're not in any kind of order. I think he was just out front, and I don't know if there's any chronological as much as just and then here's another group of people.
So why are we out here today? We're here to defend our constitutional right to bear arms.
And what are we trying to achieve?
We're just trying to, by being here, we're just trying to perhaps educate other people by showing that we're here to teach you that we have a constitutional right to bear arms, and that, we'll explain it to you. As you're here. I'm sorry, I'm just nervous, right?
So, what do you feel like are some common misunderstandings that the other side has on this?
Well, common misunderstandings are, when people say that there's assault rifles or assault weapons, every object that you can find at your disposal is an assault weapon or assault rifle. And in the case of weapons, guns, they were made to stop, right? When we say stop, we're meaning if you're threatened, if you have something coming at you, that's your choice if you want to use a weapon like a gun to stop it. And it's the best way to do it. And people need to stop being afraid about it. There's all sorts of laws, there's all sorts of regulations already in place in the government.
Do you support those regulations?
I do support those regulations because, of course, there has to be a way where everybody is in the same plane level, right?
Do you support additional regulations like universal background checks, for example?
But those already exist.
They don't.
They do. The background checks already exist.
Not for private sellers in states like Texas, for example.
They do. They do exist. No.
I can guarantee you 100%. You can buy from a private seller without having to go through an FFL background check or FBI background check. You just do they call it PPT, private party transfer.
You're talking about people with, just a regular owner, not a...
Yeah, private sellers.
Okay, yeah, so private sellers, sure, they exist. That does happen, but the databases are still there. You know,
But do you support like bringing them into the fold and putting them under the background check system too? If they're trying to sell a gun to someone like on armslist.com or something, or gun broker, do you support them having to go through a background check?
Sure, I wouldn't be opposed to that. That makes sense because, you know, if I'm going through the process, if I go to the store, sure, everybody else should go through that same process. Of course, that's why it's there. There's a purpose to that system. So if I'm going through it, buying it through a store, whatnot, yeah, sure. If someone is selling a gun privately, they should do the same thing.
And the only way to really meaningfully enforce something like that is to have a registration system to make sure someone didn't really give the gun and they're like, oh, I know I sold it, you know, through a background check, or I had this before or whatever. So the only way to meaningfully enforce that is through a registration system. Do you support that?
A registration system, I would not want to answer right now. When I give a proper answer, I would have to.
We want to think about it a little bit. Sure. Would you support a registration system?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of depends, because I know in other countries, you know, if they do have the registration, say the government wants to take everyone's guns, right? What are we supposed to do to defend ourselves? I think this whole process, you know, people are saying, we're coming for the guns, we're coming for the guns. Okay, well, what about England with the whole knife situation? I mean, every object out there can kill somebody. But me as a woman, I've been out here in Dallas. I've been to Deep Ellum. I know. I've walked to my car. There are shady people out there. What am I supposed to do to protect myself? I need some type of weapon on me. If I don't weigh that much. What am I going to do? A man can do anything, you know? But I kind of feel like people need to understand I have the right to defend myself. I understand people are going out there. They're killing these kids. It's awful. Something needs to happen. But people also need to be looking at the FBI. Why is nobody coming for them?
So, I mean, the UK still has a much lower homicide rate, even, you know, accounting for the knife crime and murders and all that. They still have a much lower homicide rate than we do in the US by a factor of like 3, 4, 5 times. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think they have a lower rate?
Homicide rate, yes.
Homicide rate? I mean, I don't know. If you're going to try to spin it on the gun situation, what about the people who go over there? They're going in with the vans. They're killing all these people. It's the same thing. People are going to find a way to kill you.
But you can reduce like the amount of carnage, right? I mean, something like an AK versus like a car, and usually the guns do more of the damage. I mean, you look at Las Vegas, you look at the Pulse nightclub shooting, you look at Aurora, Colorado.
Why did nobody ask the guy, why are you coming in with all these bags? You know, we saw the videos that they're coming out with. Something is shady. I agree, something needs to happen. You know, I mean, kids are getting killed.
All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and
So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good chunk of it. What do you think?
How long had that motherfucker been an American?
The guy with the flag there, or the guy with the?
Yeah.
How ironic is it that his sign? Let's get to the point where you can read the sign. Shall not be infringed, except for universal background checks. That's okay. But no, it's why this guy is so good. This nuanced bro is so good because he made that guy kind of take his thought out to its logical conclusion. The only way that universal background checks ever work is if every single gun is registered, and they're not going to stop with guns being registered because it's easier to register owners. It is easier to register the people that own them, and then of course have books and register each one. So yeah, it's ridiculous to think that universal background checks is the end goal. The end goal is confiscation. The necessary step to that is to inventory them, and universal background checks is simply a step to require inventory. So I think that was a great kind of parry from her. I don't agree with her 100%, but she held her own and stopped. And that's the big part of these, is when you're having a conversation with somebody, you got to know when to shut up, when to stop, when to say, that's an interesting point. I need more time to think about that one. You're allowed to say that. And then you don't get into a hole like that guy who, you know, basically went on record saying he's for universal background checks. I'm sure when he thinks about it, he's probably not going to be in favor of them once he really thinks it out.
That's why I adamantly stand opposed to any gun control because any of it is a fucking infringement. Does that mean I want to see people get killed in schools or nightclubs or what? No.
Well, that's the ambush. That's the ambush point where they're going to equate freedom with the violence. And it's not a cause, it's a and it's an unfair choice. Anyway, so they only bring up that conversation when it works for them. That's why you can say it's an ambush point. All right, so reading some of the chat stuff here, and
The silence is deafening.
yeah, I'm reading. So Giles was saying the reason I didn't ask people questions because they are aggravating. It's true, but I think the reason, well, this was the NRA show, but those 2A rallies, he did a video at some of the 2A rallies and at some of the anti-gun rallies. He's done them in other things like Trump rallies and other things. But, I pay attention to the gun ones. But these rallies are important because they get people together to have those conversations in real life, and not every, it's more efficient than doing it online. It's more real because you're having actual conversations and you have, all the normal, you don't get the chance to go check Google.
You're in front of someone.
Yeah, you're actually standing face to face with somebody. That's a whole different situation. And then all the people got to watch that. Look at all the people, and there's, as this guy's doing the interview, all the people that were aware of that interview could hear what was going on, and are going to go home with those thoughts now. Are going to go, okay, I need to be ready if that ever happens, or how can we prepare better for when questions come from someone who's not so middle of the road. I mean, he's definitely fair with his questions. Somebody who wasn't could have slaughtered some of these people verbally.
I think the guy does great work, but a lot of it's very hard to listen to.
Oh yeah, super hard to listen to, but sort of necessary. I mean, we don't, like I said, we don't get to choose our fights. We don't get to choose our battles, and unfortunately, one of them isn't, has anything to do with firearms or accuracy or skills or gear. It has to do with boring social media crap and perception.
That's the unfortunate thing about today is we don't get to have a civil conversation with the other side.
They don't want to have a civil conversation.
No, that's not true. We just haven't found the right people to find. So we're building a good thing over here on Gun Channels. We're getting lots of people that are willing to have a conversation on this side. There must be something happening on the other side. Eventually they'll get together and we'll start having actual useful conversations that have results and that don't take, aren't put into a 5-minute time slot. That, can be an hour, and that can have people listen to them, calmly and rationally after the fact. I mean, it's not like we're near the end of a fight. We're not at the beginning of a fight. We're in a fight that's going to be our lifetimes and our descendants' lifetimes. There's no reason to think that this is something that's an achievable thing. When you look at it as, a way of life as opposed to a conclusion, then it hopefully doesn't look as frustrating. I mean, if you look at it like, oh man, I got to take a poop every single day. Oh, I got to look forward to a whole life of going to take a poop. Oh. Or you just don't think about it and you live a happy life and take a poop every day.
That's such a shitty example.
Well played.
I'm sorry I had to.
I don't know where the hell to go from there. I don't know. You look at various media sources and whatnot. It just seems there's such a freaking hard divide that I don't know where the civil discourse ever comes back.
I had to yell at the chat a little bit.
If you're involved in one of these interview type things out there, you want to think about what you say and how you respond to things, because what a lot of these people are trying to do is get you tripped up. My favorite method they use is, so you're saying that, and then they can insert whatever claim they want to make.
Yeah. Or like whatever extreme crazy ass shit that they can come up with at the time.
If you're ever caught with that one, when they say, so if you're saying whatever, you say, no, what I'm saying is, and then repeat what you just said. Because that's the thing you get thrown out all the time now. So you don't care about kids getting killed in school. That ain't what I'm saying at all. No.
Nobody ever says that.
50 people in fucking school with guns, there might not have been a bunch of kids killed. But you ain't willing to talk about that. So, where do you go from there?
All right, I'm going to play host, and I'm going to switch topics if that's all right. Vanessa Kitty's talking about going to Price Club, a big box store, or Costco, I forget what she said, and then buying a workbench for her reloading setup. So buying a workbench for your reloading setup versus making a bench. Any feelings? I'd have to see this workbench, I guess. Does anybody can get us a link to this workbench from Costco?
You kind of cut out there. What was she saying?
Buying a workbench for reloading versus building one?
Right. That's
Most of the time when you buy one at these places, you have to build it anyway.
And when you say build, you mean reinforce it?
No, I mean build.
No, I mean put thing together.
Tony's talking about assembling it, but that's sort of my point. Like, I'm just doing a quick search here. I typed in Costco and workbench. Again, we don't know exactly which one she's talking about, but for me, that immediately sounds like money, right? And like Tony said, you're going to have to assemble it anyway. So all they've really done is cut the pieces of wood to size for you. And if it's going to end up looking like this, then you can assemble that out of parts from Home Depot, the same Home Depot you go to, or I guess just go to Home Depot instead of Costco, right? If it's something like this, you don't build this necessarily, but
do not overlook Harbor Freight also, or Menards. Menards offers a workbench kit that is already cut. All you do is put it together. I think it's like less than $50. I haven't bought one in 15 years, so I don't know, but it's pretty cheap.
If she's in the Northeast, then yes, Menards is available. But in other parts of the nation, Menards isn't.
Well, I would imagine a Home Depot or Lowe's or any of them quote-unquote big home improvement places would have similar.
I'm not trying to knock Menards. I'm just saying that they're not everywhere.
I didn't think it was. But to be honest with you, the assembly of these benches to make it from scratch would be really simple. I mean, they're just two bys nailed or screwed together.
Vanessa's going to. Oh, go ahead.
We used screws and glue on ours because we were going to do heavy shit with them. But they're not real complicated.
So Vanessa's going to get the link for that thing so we can take a look at what she's talking about. But in the meantime, Midnight's talking about, like usual, he's talking about something we talked about like 15 minutes ago. He's saying what Tony said, when you don't, okay, when they say you don't care about kids, say, yes, I do. And if someone was there to fight back, maybe they wouldn't have died. So I hear what you're saying there. And my suggestion is this, to me, makes it sound like they're going to need to, the person you're talking to is going to have to, you're assuming they have the same drive that you've got to defend themselves and others. And I suggest that most of the time the people that are going to defend the bullshit and the anti-gun stuff are coming from a position where they don't feel that's their obligation or their need, right? Somebody else is supposed to provide that for them. So I don't know if this is as effective, but to get that point across, when they say that you don't care about the kids, you can say, yes, I do. And my change would be, and if their laws were not, if the laws didn't create a place where this guy knew he would have no resistance, then he would have never done this in the first place. This guy followed a pattern, and he went to a place where he knew he was going to meet no resistance. And that doesn't say that there had to be someone, and I think that that's just a subtle difference to me. The person you're talking to now sees that we're not saying it's the fault of any teacher who didn't do anything, which could be perceived to, we're saying that a teacher should have done something. And we're not saying that they need to do anything. We're just saying that, yes, we agree that that's bad that what happened, but it's the laws that created that situation that, are to blame. So I think that's the difference, that you're not saying it's the teachers who didn't do anything or the teachers that weren't able to do something. You're like kind of putting it on teachers there. I'm saying let's put it on the laws where the real issue is, because those teachers didn't do nothing different than any other teacher and ever. They just went to school and taught kids. But the laws that created that environment are what attracted that fucker to that moth to that plane.
Well, at this point, I don't think it matters how you're going to respond to them because they're not listening. Still, I think it's a better idea to have a decent response than not, but that's hell of a bench now.
$200. Okay, it's definitely solid enough for a reloading bench. You're paying a little something for the adjustability, and if you're not going to need to adjust it ever, I don't know if that's necessary, but I don't know if I would imagine you could probably get something cheaper than $200 if you built this one size, but I can't imagine that much cheaper. Not made out of metal and nice, and it wouldn't be as nice.
Well, the height adjustment could come into effect because I think most people find that when they set up their press, it's not ever at the perfect height.
Right. And I mean, this isn't going to be like, oh, let me just adjust the height real easily, but it's more easy than let me rebuild my whole cabinet again.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'd have to dismantle my whole cabinet and cut the fucking
This is the picture that bugs me.
actual base cabinet. Yeah, I thought so too.
This doesn't look very big, like wide or whatever, width-wise. Like when this guy's sitting at it, it looks kind of dinky. I guess it isn't. So is it big enough as a reloading bench? I guess
Yeah,
so.
it don't take much.
And I guess if you got it against a wall, you got your shelves and stuff there. All right, I guess we're going to allow it. Night Strike, you going to rule on this?
If you're okay with it, I am.
I guess we're gonna allow it. Have any objections?
Unfortunately, or fortunate, I guess I should say, that mine needs to be raised up. Well, that part, if I get off my ass and do it, isn't going to be that difficult. I would like to raise it about 4 inches. I could just take the actual tabletop off and put 2x4s under it to raise it up. It won't be a biggie. With my back, it hurts me to bend over to get the bottom part of the stroke on my freaking press. And it's too low for me right now, but I still can use it. I mean, ideally, when I set the damn thing up, I was going for being able to sit down and do it, but I can't do it.
Do we know what part of the country Vanessa Kitty's in?
I thought she was in Texas, but I don't have any idea. What particular part of the country are you in, Vanessa?
I'm just asking. So I'm gonna go look at Craigslist and see how much.
Connecticut.
It's like.
See, I was completely off the fucking mark.
So Connecticut, does it even have more than one town? Is there something besides Hartford? I guess there's New Haven, but if I click any Connecticut one, it'll be probably. Anyway, I look up restaurant supply. Some restaurants are gross, but other restaurants, the stuff comes out of them looking brand new. And you guys ever use Metro shelving?
Once or twice.
Evidently not, because I don't know what it is.
Here's a picture. Oh, I'm not screenshotting. It's the wire shelving, like you got in a lot of kitchen type applications.
Oh yeah, we got one at work.
Yeah, I've used those too.
Super adjustable, and depending if you buy it from some person, sometimes they think it's worth gold, but a lot of times you buy them from like a restaurant that's going out of business or something, and you can just buy a lot of it cheap. And it's very lightweight and super strong, just super strong. And what I really like about them is there's wheels on them if you want. So if you want it to be permanent, just take the wheels off, put the little coasters or whatever they are. And if you want it to be able to move around, there's wheels. And these things are sometimes designed for doing like real work on. So you could easily use it as a reloading bench. And you just sort of cut the uprights to height and you put as many shelves as you want. As long as you got 3 shelves, it's super strong, super rigid.
Those bastards, the ones we got at work, are surprisingly stout.
Oh,
Way
they're
stouter than they say they are.
They're super strong, and they can be so cheap. There's cheap copies, but if you get Metro, the real company, like out of a restaurant, again, it's like anything. They depreciate immediately once you own them. So you can go in and find like a restaurant supply place in your area, or like on Craigslist like this. And I don't know, I like them too because a lot of times they're in standard sizes, but they could be a little wider. You can just put a piece of wood down on it. On top of one of these, or just make a different top for it if you want, and a little wider though than a standard desk or something. So I use these a lot because I got them for nothing, but I always really like the Metro shelving. It doesn't take up much room either. You're not like, if this is way stronger, this would be like making it out of wood. It'd be the equivalent of like a 4x4. So imagine how much less material there is with this metal than if you would have made something equally as sturdy out of wood.
I can tell you from first-hand experience, the one we got at work has got far more weight on it than they said it'd hold by a long shot. Probably twice. And my boss actually said to load it to see what it'd take. And it's taken everything we put on it. We don't use it for anything except for bolts and part storage now. But God, I'll bet there's 1,000 pounds on it. And I think the one we got was rated at 400.
A lot of times that's not so much because the shelves can't handle it as much as if you put that much weight on a shelf and it falls over, it kills people.
That may well be true, and we don't move it. I mean, it is on rollers, but we bought it as a bolt rack, so we could have a rack out away from the wall to store commonly used items in. Just make jobs a little quicker. Plus, we needed space anyway. It's stout. I thought you was talking about them big, heavy bastards like to have in warehouses.
Oh, warehouse shelving, that's also extremely cheap and super, super strong. But that's more like if you got to put pallets of stuff on there with a forklift. But yeah, the pallet shelving is super cheap. A lot of times the little stuff is cheap too, because a place will go out of business, they'll take it all down, the surplus place will pull it all out, and nobody needs the little corner thing that the warehouse had. And now you can get like a lot of little garage-sized pieces, because most of the time these people are building a new metal building, right? They don't have a lot of turns or curves or nothing. So some of those little curves and corner pieces are just sitting there accumulating, and they get rid of them cheap. I've seen some really neat little gun rooms and stuff set up with warehouse stuff.
Now, when you're setting all this up, Vanessa, bear in mind what you're going to do with supplies, because you want to make things easily accessible, and yet like you want to keep your primers in some sort of steel cabinet. I guess it don't have to be steel necessarily, but something that you don't have to worry about them in. Plus, you want to store your dyes and bullets and shit like that somewhere. Right now, I've got a whole bunch of them little bin thingies. Plastic little bins that clip onto the little plastic track you put on the wall. And I've got, I don't know how many, 3 dozen that I use for just holding bullets, cases. I have a separate steel cabinet for my gunpowder. And then, yes, I was getting to that in just a minute, Jelsma. Where the hell was I? I have a separate storage cabinet for my gunpowder because I don't want gunpowder and primers in the same one. But you want to make everything as convenient as you can. And Jelsma said static discharge is real. Yes. This is something you want to consider if you're buying a shelf that's made out of metal. Because static is a problem around gunpowder. And I don't know, I suppose you could make a plug-in like extension cord that goes into a regular plug-in box mounted to the leg of the bench to actually connect the table to a ground source. But that table's got a wood top, so it's not that big of a thing. Yeah, static. I have a lot of static here, and fuck, I'm forever wiping my shit down with Clean Free.
So Russ posted pictures on his Instagram just now of the table he's building or just bought or just built.
Nice.
So mostly 2x6s it looks like, and then 8 feet long.
I want to build me a new one if I move into the house, but I don't want the bottom to be like that one. I want to be able to get a desk chair under it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the point of this bottom part? Just so I guess you have a shelf down there. because I would think I'd tend to agree. I'd want to put stuff on the floor, and I tend to flood everything all the time. I don't know if I could do this. I'm always flooding stuff. Be worried about having that much wood on the floor for me. I'd rather have just legs.
Looks like it's helper stout.
Well, this ain't falling over. He says it can hold 10,000 pounds.
I ain't got that much fucking reloading gear.
I only have like 9,800, maybe.
I'll be right back. I need to refill.
All right. Well, Knives has a chat going already, and Tony's refilling. So
Yeah.
It's 7:30. We're getting on 2 hours. I think we're getting to the end of this one. I think we talked about all kinds of interesting stuff today. We started out with kind of going off on SWAT and police and stuff from the logo music or the intro music today, and then I had a pretty long conversation about SWAT and stuff, and that got into the MRAPs and the UMOGs and the Humvees and other things, and then we talked about the main page of gun channels and what's been going on over the weekend, and then we talked about that little clip from Nuance Bro.
That the NRA show?
Yeah. We've been talking about Vanessa. We mansplained reloading benches to Vanessa for like an hour. I feel like he was just waiting she was going to put like a reloading bench made out of like wire, like in wicker, some kind of a wicker reloading bench in like a room with a lot of shag carpeting. And she was going to like constantly be rubbing her feet all around as she was reloading. We've saved her from that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Explosion that's going to happen.
I can see that.
So I feel like we saved a life today on Early Watch. It's good. And it was a valuable life. It was Vanessa Kitty. So
Yeah, we definitely would like to keep her around.
yeah, we need all the viewers we got. She's one of the ones that gives us thumbs up. Probably not the one who gave us a thumbs down earlier. So whoever gave us that thumbs down, we see it. We know it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to end this second because Tony's gone. It'd be a douche move to have him come back from his coffee to an empty room. But it does look like Knives. Mr. Knives to you is already got a chat going over on the gun channels. We'll put a link up to that. Because of pretty cool. So I'm also seeing we got a response from instructor Lady Gunner, who was the guest on the Gun Gals last night. She said welcome when she signed in, and she said thanks. I'm super excited to be a part of a great firearms community. So that's pretty cool. She's an instructor from Florida, a female instructor, firearms instructor from Florida. And she was on the show. She doesn't even have a YouTube yet, so she's just starting her internet journey. So that'd be kind of cool to see somebody new to the game and coming at it when YouTube doesn't dominate anymore. It used to dominate. It's now a flame that's dying. So super cool. So it's neat. And if anybody's sitting there thinking, I don't have as many views as so-and-so, or I don't have as many subscribers as such and such, then think about it. There's people that are coming online right now that are, been in the industry and know stuff and just been living their lives and don't use the internet. You're already behind. Keep doing good work. Don't get discouraged. Every little bit helps, and it's all accumulating. It's not, some of this stuff seems like it's just, day after day just going out like hot air, but it's not. It's accumulating. It's adding up. And when the little robots and little computer programs that go out and sniff out the internet do their tabulations, guns are in those tabulations because of you and your efforts. I'm done. You guys want to throw anything else out there?
Well, I'm just curious how soon it is before we start getting born with a USB port or even Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. So,
will that happen, or will computers just go from copper to fiberglass, glass, right? Go to light, and we'll store light in crystals instead of copper energy in capacitors. So once you start storing holograms or storing data as holograms, then you're in a light medium instead of a electronics medium. So now you can put it into fluids, and if you can get it into fluids, it's probably another step to get it into DNA or something like that. So I don't know if we're going to get USB ports or if computers are going to turn liquid and just be in us.
Tomato, tomato.
Good point. Doesn't really matter. It's all Skynet.
So if you're listening to this, you are the resistance and shall not be infringed.
What are we wrapping up?
Oh yeah, sorry, we're ending it.
Good day, everybody.